Okay, here's a updated version of a blast from the past. These are my old objective markers that I made for Warhammer 40k. And I wanted to do something a little bit more like, there we go, some new ones here. More for a Death World gaming mat that I want to make. Very Nurgle themed, so like a lot of pools and toxic waste dumps and pestilence and tentacles and all that fun stuff. So I just want to have some fun with some objective markers geared more towards Grandfather Nurgle and the gifts that he provides. And provided here is some extra pieces from the Beast of Nurgle that my son didn't use. So, yep, moving along. So I'm starting off with some thick cork here, and not too thick, just some cork sheets, and going to be super gluing those onto some 50mm bases, just like the originals. And these can be intermixed with the originals if you want, but in the end I give these like a nice fluorescent green rim on the base, so when I put a black light over them when we're playing, you can still see a little bit of a glow. And they're not meant for figures, they're not meant for figure bases. These are going to be strictly objective markers, and yeah, some nasty looking objectives, but if you're a Nurgle player, that's what you want. Okay, a barrel just rolled into view. I'm going to be using at least one of those here, and we're going to be doing 6 of these in total. So there's the first 3 and 6. There we go. Now that half barrel on the left bottom there, yeah, ignore that because that's not going to be used. I was just using that for a little bit of inspiration. Okay, covering up that cork with some Vallejo thick mud there. This is the light brown mud, and just going to get it all into all those little nooks and crannies there, just so it doesn't look like 2 pieces of cork glued together. There we go, and that's all of them completed there. Then I've got some flat edge skulls that you've seen those before in my videos. They're just resin printed. I printed up a ton of them because I wanted to do a little ambitious project, but yeah, it's just time gets in the way of everything. So just going to get those skulls put on there, and yeah, it's 40k, so you gotta have skulls, you gotta have oil drums, and you gotta have skulls, and if it's Nurgle you need some tentacles and tubes and all that fun stuff. So this time I just want to thank all the new subscribers. Since the last video we got well over 150 subscribers just from that one video, so thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It really motivates me to keep going and bring out more content. Now, Huge Miniatures. I am not affiliated. They didn't send me anything. I bought this with my own money. I've got like 4 or 5 of their products and I really enjoy them. They're an Ohio-based company. They do paints, basing materials, tools, all that fun stuff, and I think they're about an hour from where I live, so one of these days I might have to take a little road trip and say hello and introduce myself. So Huge Miniatures, you got a fan here. Okay, so this Vallejo thick mud takes a while to dry, so I figured why not add some extra real estate on there. Got some fine sand, just get a little bit on each base there, and just like I said, just get a little bit of real estate and make it easier for any kind of dry brushing to come through. Okay, moving right along, I've got all 6 bases ready to go for the next step here. A lot of that stuff was left to dry while I was at work one night, and yeah, there we are. Just going to blow off some of that extra, not dust, they get dusty over time, some of that extra fine sand. That tentacle was just from my bits box, just a random resin print. I'm going to add some more details to these. I've got the extra tubes from the Beast of Nurgle, that gibbet, some cinder blocks and crates that I printed off, and we're just going to add those in and just give it a little bit more detail there. And the fleshy tubes from the Beast of Nurgle, I'm just using super glue gel, and look at that fit. There we go. I love that fit. Okay, so just gonna fix it in with some CA kicker there. All right, the hollowed out barrel, I drilled a hole in it using my wow stick. That's going to come into effect later because I got some plans for that one. And these are more or less just something whimsy, something fun. I mean, they're never going to be in a contest. They're never going to win any awards. So I'm just painting them tabletop standard. I'm just getting the kicker in there, the activator. Oh, look at there. It's prime time. Got the Cynorez black. You know that's my favorite. So, I'm going to go ahead and get all these primed up with the black. And yes, I was having some issues with my airbrush. I ended up cleaning it out like right after that. There we go. Now, honestly, I had so many different ideas on how I wanted to do these, but in the end, I just figured, okay, 6 and that's it. I don't want to do it anymore because I kind of got to get moving on to my next project. So 6 objective markers for a plague world, plus I've got the other objective markers from the first video, or actually one of my first videos, and yeah, there's plenty of scatter terrain there. But yeah, just something fun, something whimsical, something interesting. And like I said, when I put my black light on these later on, we'll get a nice little glowing effect there. Now the gibbet here, I just did an overrush with some Iron Warriors. Figure I'll get this one out of the way real quick. Nothing crazy because I'm going to put some rust effects on it later on. There we go. And if you notice, there's I kind of cut a few pieces off there just so I can angle it when I put it on the base. Alright, going with a Zenithal Prime. Seeing that I already primed it with the black Cynorez, I'm going with a Ghost Gray Vallejo Surface Primer from the top. It's just from the top, so you can you still have those dark areas for your shadows. So looking pretty good there. And on to the next one. This tentacle was just like, I was waiting for something that I could use this on, and when I decided to do a plague world and some exclusive objective markers for it, I was like, yep, I know exactly what I'm going to use. So, and I had a lot of pieces from my bits box that I could have used on these, but in the end, I like the 6 that I ended up with, and like I said, just having fun. So just gonna get this last one finished up with a Zenithal, and we will move on to painting it up. Alright, starting off with some Citadel Contrast Skeleton Horde. I'm basically just dabbing it in different areas and letting it soak in. There are a few spots where I'll hit it a second time just to darken it up, but overall it was a good color for like base earth. It worked out. Okay, that's all of them together. You can see a few darker areas here and there. Just a little variation. And we'll go in with some different colors here in a little bit. So one of those colors being Athonian Camo Shade. This is one of my favorite shades from Citadel. It's like a very light greenish tan. Just adds a little bit more depth to everything. And I got it on the skulls, I got it on some rocks. Just for some more color there. Let's see, looking good. At least I'm liking it. And if I'm liking it, I hope you do too. And if you do, go ahead and hit that like button. It's not going to hurt you. Okay, moving along, I've got the recipe for my Death Guard bases. It was taped to my workbench. Just going to go ahead and start working on that. And it's not completely the same. I didn't add the pearls until later on, so it works though. But we're going to get that going there, and then we're going to add some Screaming Skull to those skulls who were probably screaming at one point in time. Give them a little extra color there. And actually, after the video was finished, I went back with some different shades. A little bit of Caribird Crimson and a little bit more Athonian Camo Shade, just to make them look a little more disgusting. So it comes out, looks good. Alright, Citadel Corn Red. I figured the red would be a nice contrast with the green bases, so I went for a darker red here. Just so, and then you got to paint up those fleshy tubes, those Nurgle tubes. Pretty nasty looking things. And I thank my son for letting me use the extra parts from his Beast of Nurgle. Yep, gotta get all those painted in. And then we go to the gibbet. I'm using some Vallejo Wash Light Rust. Just dabbing that in certain places, and just like I said with the actual color, I just did an overbrush, but a little bit of brown on this crate here, and then what you won't see is the gray wash that I put on there. It's not that big of a deal, but it looks good in the end. Then we're going to brown up some of those rocks. Add a little bit more color to them. And by this time, I'm getting pretty excited to actually use these in a game. Typically I don't play a whole lot of 40K, but when I do, like with my son, we don't even use objectives, right? It's basically just last man standing, but I do want to start playing with objectives. Alright, Phalanx Yellow. This bomb reminds me a lot of something that orcs would use, so I know red ones go faster, but I just want to give it a little different color. So I went with the yellow here. And painting up that tentacle with some Citadel Xeris purple. Yeah, this tentacle actually started off as it looked like a wall piece that it was like like ventilation louvers that the tentacle was coming out of. So I actually just clipped all that away and just kept the tentacle. Alright, some squid pink on different areas there. Just having some fun with the airbrush. There we go. And then we're going to do the moot green on the rest of the bases. I'm doing a little bit of dry brushing on the edges of the cork there. Well, not necessarily dry brushing, but just the rest of the paint on the brush, just for a little bit of subtle OSL. Okay, going back to the light rust wash on the bomb there, the big Boomba. Gonna make it look nice and rusty, and I got some rust wash on the base too there. Okay, since I have so much Nuln oil from before they changed the formula, this is the original. This is the Citadel Shade Nuln oil. Just getting some on that barrel to give a little bit of extra depth there. And it's just going to make a nice base for what I'm going to do with it afterwards. Alright, fleshy tubes, we're back to them. Because, yeah, you love saying fleshy tubes. Some Reichland Flesh Shade Gloss. That's going to make them look extra nasty. And then I've got some green fluorescent from Vallejo Model Color. Just going to pour that in. It's thinned down and let it drip down the side. Right out the hole there. It's going to make a really cool effect when it's done. Yeah, not your typical technique, but you know what? We're having fun here, and that's what it's all about. Alright, to that we're going to add some right out of the dropper bottle there, some fluorescent yellow from Vallejo Game Color. And you got to give it a little bit of a tip there, to a little bit of an angle for it to start dripping out that hole in the bottom. There we go. That's going to look really cool under a black light. Yep. And you can see at that point in time I got the pearls on there. Or the half pearls rather. I don't know what I was doing with that, but... Alright, I've got these pieces of kitchen sponge that... I don't know, my hands were all shaky there for some reason, I don't know why. But we're just going to stuff them in that barrel, and look at the static electricity is keeping it on the barrel for some reason. Then it keeps it onto the sponge for a quick second there. Just going to get those in there and then seal them in place with some liquid CA. This is the cheap dollar store super glue. Love that stuff. And just get a little bit more in there for good measures. So we put another piece in there. And then I'm just going to push it down in there, and then we're going to put some of that green fluorescent paint right onto the sponge. Yeah, this one and the big tentacle are the reasons why I wanted to do a video on this. And just some, there we go. Look at that glow. Now granted, when we play, the black light's going to be suspended from a couple ceiling lights, but we'll still have a little bit of a glow to it. Okay, so at this point, if you are not subscribed, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Like I said, we had a lot of subscribers from the last video. I was really surprised that it took off the way it did, and I thank every one of you. Just want to keep it going, and I'm having so much fun making these videos, and it's just... And I found that my biggest challenge now is trying to figure out which project I'm going to do next. So, Citadel Iron Breaker, just for some, get some of that steel on there from the paint chips. I didn't actually put any rust effects on this. I just did the sponge chipping. It's okay though. All right, we are coming down to the wire on this one, so gonna go ahead and get a few things finished up before the big reveal here. Just adding a little bit of Cadian flesh tone to those tentacles there. Then we still have to paint up the groundwork. A little bit of fluorescent yellow. Right there. Yeah, a lot of work with the airbrush on this one. And get a nice dab of that fluorescent yellow right in the middle there. It looks so cool. So we've got that done there, and there's the black light on there, just a little UV flashlight for my my resin printers. And turn the lights off, and there you go. Now the only thing that's pretty much left to do on this is the rims of the bases, which we're going to be getting to soon. But first we're going to get that flat earth on there from Vallejo Model Color. Now I had the groundwork on there already, but when I did the airbrushing, a lot of it turned purple. So, and to that, while it's still wet, what I'm going to do is start to sprinkle a little bit of construction sand, and then I just picked up and said, you know what the hell, let's dunk the whole thing right there in the cup. And there we go. Liking that a lot. Okay, one of the last steps here is to run the bases using the green fluorescent from Vallejo Model Color. It's very thin paint. It's almost like a gel consistency. I ended up doing like 2 or 3 coats on certain bases, but it looks really cool. Doing a UV resin paint mix for the slime effect, but comes out really nice in the end. Got the UV light on there. We're ending this here, so final reveal's coming up. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Hope you liked it. Hey, if you liked the video, check out the selection on the left. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care, and thanks for watching.